Call the Halsey City Council meeting of October 11th or August 11th, 2026 to order at 7 p.m. Brianna, would you please call the roll?
Council Crop, Council Boyer, Council Reason. Here. Mayor Malcolm.
Here.
Council Strauss. Here. Council Miller.
Here.
Council Lacoste.
Here. So please rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I want to thank each of you who took time to attend tonight. Any guests who are physically present need to fill in the meeting sign-in sheet near the door. Again, we're running a hybrid meeting tonight to allow those who wish to attend remotely to do so. Do cut down on background noise. Feedback from remote attendees should mute themselves while not speaking. Staff members and guests on the agenda will need to unmute themselves and give reports to council. And audience members may unmute themselves to speak during the public hearings and during citizen comments. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which contains financial report from July 2026 and the minutes from the council meeting held on July 21st. You can vote on these individually or together. I would entertain a motion.
That the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the business items in the consent agenda as submitted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Do we have any agenda adjustments?
We do have one small agenda adjustment, and that is the matter. We are already discussing some of the upcoming council meetings for October. There is another thing related to the September meeting, so I would like to add the discussion to the September meeting during that time.
Okay. During the
sometime.
I2.
And then
if
council approves that, they can just entertain motion to add the agenda adjustments.
Okay.
I have a question. Who seconded the motion? I missed it.
I second.
Okay, thank you.
So what does council say?
Sounds
You see the delegations?
sounds
good. Okay. So next would be, since Lee County Sheriff's Office here, are you doing the report, Jen, or Steve? Okay. You want to do that second or?
We can circle back to see unless Heather wants to present it. She's welcome to.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it's up to you, Jeff.
I can present.
Okay.
So in July of this year, Halsey usually has 72 contracted hours in the sheriff's office. We performed 73.25 hours, which included 2 traffic citations, 5 traffic warnings, 0 arrests, and the total number of incidents and things investigated were 28.
pretty normal.
Yeah.
No, as far as property crimes, there was a broken window. The investigation is still ongoing. Suspicious persons, those persons were watching the trains and videoing the trains, and there was a lot of fireworks.
Yeah. Any questions, comments?
I have a question on this one. Assisted another agency with getting a missing persons form signed.
Yes.
Is the missing person signing the form, or is it to say? Okay, to say that they're missing.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, how do you get a missing person to sign a form?
Balance.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to discuss the meeting now, or you want to move it to new business?
New business. Yeah.
So just some comments.
Right. I just want you to do that meeting under delegations or under new business. the new meeting date, September.
Oh, no, we can talk about that in new business.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah,
What?
just want to make sure.
Okay,
Next item on the agenda is citizen comment. This is time for interested citizens and anyone in the audience to address the council on any item of concern. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. And please start by introducing yourself and stating your address. Also, do we have any written comments?
we do.
Okay.
Let's start with that.
Yes, please.
Okay, we received a written comment via our comment submission form on August 8th from Mr. Zane Goodwin. The comment states, in the June 9th city council minutes, the city stated that the H Street project is not considered a land action, and that this conclusion has been affirmed by the city planning consultant and full council. I'm asking the city to revisit whether that response fully addresses Appendix A of the Halsey Comprehensive Plan. Appendix A, Section 3 states that the Planning Commission shall review and comment on proposed land actions and programs that may impact resources on the Halsey Register of Historic Resources. Each part of that language matters. It says shall, not may. It includes both land actions and programs, not just land actions. And the threshold is whether something may impact a registered resource, not whether it physically alters or demolishes the historic building. The Coons House at 791 West 4th Street is on the Halsey Register of Historic Resources. The city's earlier explanation is that there is no permit to alter or demolish the building appears to address Appendix A separate provision concerning alteration of and demolition period permits. It does not appear to answer Section 3, subsection 4, which separately addresses land actions and programs that may impact registered historic resources. This question is more significant now that the August council packet describes the final H Street design as including substantial stormwater infrastructure, drainage and culverts, and added system capacity in an area where no storm facilities previously existed. Has the city determined whether the H Street project is a program that may impact the Coons House under Appendix A, Section 3, Section 4? If so, please identify where that determination is making. If not, I respectfully ask that the H Street project be referred to the Planning Commission for review and comment required by Appendix A for construction.
Okay.
So just to clarify that in that June meeting, we stated it wasn't a land action because the land action was created by the adoption of the comprehensive plan. And during that land action, it identified, which previously, I mean, the road had been platted since the 1870s. But that very specific action was a state requirement to do a transportation component. And that transportation component says these are roads.
Right.
And they belong to the city. And if we use them for roads and we do improvements for roads, then that is not a action or program. And so that is what I just want to provide that kind of clarity. That is why it's not a land action, is because the action was the comp plan. It's in the comprehensive plan, in the transportation plan. And also in that section of the plan, it says that they'll improve, pay, you know, I don't want to misspeak because I know I'm not speaking verbatim, but it does state that we will improve city roads. And so we're not trying to be dismissive, but that is why it is not a new action. Is that it's just literally not classified as a land action.
Do we have our comp plan posted?
Yes.
Okay. So, anybody in the audience wish to speak? Okay, moving on to reports to council. Start with the city administrative report.
Okay, so I don't memorize these.
Next,
I know.
don't sit at home and practice in the mirror.
City administrative report. So we, as you know, have lots of different projects, some large, some also large. And the update on inflow and infiltration, everything frankly is ready to start really firing off. Inflow and infiltration, DEQ approved the final big documents. We actually have gone through, we are developing our timelines, which is probably what we'll talk about in the September meeting. And there are certain things that we're required to do. So the DEQ is the funding source. We are required to send our bid documents to them for approval before we actually open the procurement. And so they've approved, they like the language, we followed all of their rules and their contract language stuff. Our legal counsel reviewed it. We added the things that they asked, they reviewed it again, final approval. When you do this level of procurement, there are certain timelines that are required, so we have to post for a certain amount of time. We have to provide our notice of intent to award. And then we have to give 7 days after posting that notice of intent to award. And it's essentially a period of time where other people can like object to our award. And we would have to provide our tabulations and all the things that we use to make our determination for the contract that we selected. And then council approves our intent to award. So after that 7-day window. So that's where we're at. All of those things are timelined through the end of August and into early September. When we have the intent to award and we have the bid packages, we must submit those back to DEQ. Again, that's why the September part kind of matters. We have to submit them back to DEQ before we can actually award. And so they have to review our bid documents, our bids that we receive, and our selection criteria, and say like, yes, we've done everything with fidelity. And then once they approve the contractor that we selected, we are allowed to then have council make that final award. So lots of things going on with I&I, much of it very technical, timeline driven, not bureaucratic at all. But that's rocking and rolling, and that's exciting. The H Street project, its design is complete for the H Street project. The final design, again, it did include some substantial stormwater infrastructure. There are sections over there where we have already done some like French drains and things.
Right.
So, you know, just making sure that there's proper culverts. This also, as you all know, includes a repair to existing stormwater infrastructure that's actually pretty substantial. It goes like all the way underneath H Street and then to the north, like 300 feet or so. That's an exaggeration. For sure, I'm wrong. I misspoke, like 100 feet, but it's a lot. So the whole length of it is quite a bit.
Right.
And so that's, you know, those things need to be done while the roadbed is dug up, but they're adding cost to the project. Some of those project costs, there is some opportunity for us to use some SDCs, but those are very limited opportunities. And so we want to be very diligent about our research in that regard. We are going to bid on this. We are working on the bid language to ensure that we're protecting ourselves to have withhold the right to cancel the procurement and move to a larger procurement or cancel items within the scope in order to get things within budget. Those are all things that we're allowed to do. We just want to be very, very clear in the invitation to bid language and the language in that whole big packet so that you are covering yourself to do those things once you start getting into negotiations with bidders. There's also, you know, threshold things. So if the procurement exceeds 250,000 to one person, then it bumps into a higher level of legal review and some extra steps. It also bumps it into a review that would require us to go to a sealed bid, more formal process. We don't anticipate one contractor. It should not be that one contractor would exceed that amount. But we just want to build in those protections in the procurement, even though we're paying to have to go back to bid. You know, we are positioning ourselves to regroup and do the normal process if it turns out that we need to. But that one I'm writing now, it's very technical. Soon. We're gonna post that bid soon. It's really just about, and frankly, once I write it, I have to send it to a legal team for review, but it's ready to go. I'll also double check with ODOT because it is a ODOT grant.
Right.
To see if they have any, I'll review and see if we have to send it to them for review as well. Sometimes that's true. Well, 24 Oakport project. As you know, it turns out we have to do one more pathway. And fortunately, there was leftover grant funds to do so. If you haven't seen them yet, they should be in the park today. It is considered a small project. It'll be nice to be able to have something that we were easy to take to procurement, get it turned around, and be finished this week. That will create a path that goes from the updated path that we put in last year to one of the benches by the new playground. So we'll just line right up. I think the only change order we might have now that they're on site is that we realized that the bench, like the bench cement, they're 4 feet by 8. But ADA for a walkway is recommended at 5 to 6 feet. So our existing path is 5 feet wide. The path that we are putting in, we can't do the path that we're putting in to the playground also 5 feet wide. So we may there is funding left over. We may, if the change order doesn't result into, if it's not too much of a hassle, actually create like an additional pad on that backside of an additional foot so that it's at least square.
Sure.
So that would be potentially the only change order that I see on that project, and we will wrap it up.
And then we're done with it, right?
Yes.
Yay!
Done with it. Other things at the park we have lined up for fall, but those are just, they're unrelated to the grants. It's just continuing to pour into that resource that we have. We keep talking about planting trees. You have to plant them in the fall or spring.
Right.
In spring, we do budget. So all of my hopes and dreams about planting in the spring have been not come to fruition several times. So this year, we are planting trees in the fall. Plant them not in the fall or spring. It just is really hard. It's a lot more effort and not the best practice. And then also, you know, we put in the annual flowers under the sign. And so I think it would be nice to consider what things are good for fall planting and start transitioning to those to perennials that won't be like the annual investment, like spending money on all those flowers every year. When we could pick other more native solutions.
Sure.
Yeah. It's some fun stuff at the park. Easy stuff. You guys want to plant trees, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have lots of shovels.
John used to shovel. He knows how to do it.
He does, yeah.
Oh,
Really good at it too.
Yeah.
1224 project. The EPA well project review continues that cross cutting. As you guys know, we have different buckets of money for the grant. Both of them EPA, both of them from different granting agencies. We're so grateful. We are. So I've sent all of the follow-up documentation to the people that we got the $350,000 grant from, but they're past through an 8. And so we got that grant through an organization called Philanthropy Northwest, who essentially was the recipient of the grant, and they sub-award these EPA grants. We still have to follow all the EPA rules, but I talked to them and then they talk to the EPA. So they say EPA wants this, I send it to them. Well, I had a conference with our pre-award officer for the $700,000 one and asked a million questions. And we discussed that we were hoping to merge the cross cutters and say, hey, what about the rest of this project? Can we just add it to this already active review? And she would like to keep them separate. Here was the benefit of that meeting. That meeting was with the EPA.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I really like the way that she was able to address my questions. And no, I mean, absolutely, the other agency has been very helpful. But to speak directly to the agency that you're receiving the money for that like enacts the rules, it was really, really beneficial. I actually pulled out the site plan and showed her the area and what would go where the ground is surveyed, like on Google Earth. And she was optimistic that it was going to be easy to get through the process. It's just, again, we cannot hold her to that, right?
Right.
She did not make any promises, but it was very reassuring that it is, again, it's not a high impact project. It is on already developed area. It's on our public works, you know, it's in our public workshop. So those things are all voting very well for us. So like, fingers crossed, we will get the exemption that we're looking for.
Good.
The exemption from the deep dive review. This is the first review. So I am actively writing I also asked questions about making sure an engineer of record is compliant with any of the federal procurement rules, because if you want to use an engineer of record on a federal grant project, you can, but there are a lot of rules around it. And so I asked all the questions about that, so that we are going to go for another engineer of record. We are still going to work with our current engineer of record. We're just deepening our bench. We've talked about it a lot. I got all the information I need, so I'm developing that so we can go out for engineer of record. I also will be calling a meeting with our integrator of record, which is basically our water treatment plant programmer, to start really refining that portion of the project. As you know, we've had some hiccups at the water treatment plant as of late, and they have been frustrating, and it's showing its age. The guys are really good about keeping it running, but it is showing its age. So we're trying to position ourselves so that as soon as we get through that environmental review step, we are ready to rock. We are just ready to develop bid packages and go to construction bid. I also got approval once. There's a couple more chat boxes we need to check, but some of the things that we will need for the water treatment plant, the computer components, some of them, in talking to the integrators, the people who come out and do our programming and help us when our automations are not working right or something's going on. they had mentioned that there are things that are like 6 months out to order. And so and so one of the things that we want to do is, again, with it, we want to make sure that we're compliant with all the rules. There's so many rules with federal grants. It's such hard money, but we're grateful again. If we could purchase those items prior to completion of the environmental review, and if they are supply purchases under a certain cost threshold, which all of them should be, that is allowed.
Oh,
So we can essentially, once we like really have the scope of what we're gonna need, in discussions with the integrators, we can actually start ordering stuff.
You
And
get it.
and get it on the shelf and be ready, again, just be ready to rock and roll on that. That is the well project. Things are happening. Figure out. Okay, Safe Routes to School, the project launch meeting was held last week. We did discuss fall project activities, and so there's gonna be kind of a big push in early September. One of the things that is gonna be asked of the community is to participate in an interactive map. Like, we want feedback from people who see kids walking to school, who have kids walking to school, who drive and pick up their kids, but are like navigating that whole drop-off pickup situation at the elementary school in particular. And so this interactive map allows community members to like go to it, easy to access website, click on parts of, like, it's gonna be like a map of our town, and click on sections and make your comments on what issues you're seeing there. You can just like, and we also requested if they could provide like a short 3-minute, 1 to 3 minute, just like, this is how it works video. So we could develop a landing page on the Halsey website that has some of those like supporting materials to help people navigate that tool.
Yeah.
And also project updates. So that's coming in the fall. We are going to have enough materials to have a little bit of an info booth like coming soon, and potentially even actually like QR codes and postcards and things for people to start participating at the summer barbecue.
Okay.
So I let them know that timeline, and that's a big event for us, and that having those materials by then would be really, really helpful. So they're gonna make sure that happens. Stacy and I also discussed, Counselor Strauss and I also discussed, that we would meet up at the school during pickup and drop off and literally hand things out to people. We're gonna just solicit them to participate in our survey. So as long as
You can join if people.
go that, then we're gonna be doing that as well, or, period. We're gonna be doing that. So we're gonna really try to get the word out. And that project goes on. So a lot of fall stuff coming up. SMAC, so much updates, you guys. SMAC has been hard at work this summer. We definitely spent winter and spring restructuring. We've talked about how we went through the first long session. We partnered with lobbyists that ended up not being a good fit. We got through that long session and, back in 2024. And then following that, we parted ways with that lobbyist, and we have essentially been restructuring. So we spent 2025 getting things back together, doing some restructuring, figuring out what SMAC looks like going forward. And then we started delegating tasks. We have started having monthly meetings, and we are moving forward with onboarding a new lobbyist firm, consultant group, and really looking into, we've been providing the council training opportunities. So we're really, I feel like it's rock and rolling, and our goal is really, the next step is that we're really trying to, and so the effort of SMAC is to bring advocacy to the issues that face small city governments. And to do that, we really need our elected officials to feel emboldened and like they understand how to do that, if they have an interest in it, that they're prepared to, and that we're, really dialed into talking to our legislators when we have, unfunded mandates and other issues that come down from the state that maybe are not in alignment with home rule.
Right.
So, that's really where we're at with that. We do have, now that we're feeling like we've really solidified the restructuring, we will be very serious this fall about going out and doing recruiting at other cities. And that means visiting other state councils. So that will be some of the city administrators from partner cities and some members of council from partner cities that are interested in participating in those efforts. More to come. citywide barbecue, as you all know, this is our 150th year anniversary. We're planning a bunch more fun things, and we really need volunteers. So you were given a sign-up sheet. You give me your sign-up sheet. What we really need, we need people at all spots. We are trying to deepen our bench. We're gonna reach out to other organizations locally to try to get more volunteers for this effort. Also asking local businesses for donations to sort of sponsor some of these added fun things that we're providing. We have, face painting from the librarian again. We have carnival, tabletop game activities, a few inflatable carnival games. We also, are working, we've asked our sheriff's department to bring a patrol car, which they're working on. I'm gonna touch base with Travis about maybe bringing one of their fire engines or other equipment if they're able, hire, so we understand if you can't. You know, so really cool stuff. We're again doing a food drive with a raffle prize for sharing hands, and we'll take donations and food items. So it's gonna be a big event. I think that frankly, for the carnival, we're probably gonna need like at least 8 people just for that, and we still need all the people for the other things we always do. So, just a friendly reminder, big event. Take what we can get. Upcoming events, August 8th, summer week program finale, we just had that this weekend, it was great. August 12th is the last Connect One County dinner, so that's tomorrow night. That's over in Brownsville Park, they've been doing really cool stuff in the summer. September 7th, we're closing observance of Labor Day. September 8th is the school's first day of school, and September 11th is our city park. Any questions? Or discussion?
Anybody?
We're good.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda then would be permits and planning. Audrey, you would please.
Well, it's in the packet, I could read it to you, but that's kind of silly, short of it.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, just, what if you kind of understand the difference between the agency and the HDC, and the development, and the community code? So sometimes they talk to each other, but not too often. And then I listed out the current permits that we have in progress, how's it, Fourth and H just came in and paid for their STCs, and they're going to be putting in water very shortly. Sewer by the end of the month, so they're getting really, really close to having it look like a house.
Right.
Which one is that?
Fourth and H.
Okay,
New house there coming in the mornings.
that's right.
The planning commission meets tomorrow for the Miller Trust project. And hopefully we'll on that information.
Any questions? Comments? And the next item is the public works report. Is there anything else from Andy on that? Marilyn?
No, unless anybody has questions, I'll do my best to answer. I'll take you back to Andy and follow up.
Okay.
The trees along 99 look good. I think they were pruned up about.
Pruning, they water every week.
Mhm.
Right.
Basically,
Yeah, yeah. I think it looks good.
No further issues with number 2 pump.
number two, we never operated our service pumps.
Yeah.
Like ever. And actually, we mostly we try not to operate our high service pumps. They're there for backup. We have a big draw and we really never need 3 of them. Obviously, we want all of our pumps to be functional, but the pump number 2 was having kind of a was already not working. And then pump number 1, high service, I want to say it was pump number 1, was having a communication issue, which was then resulting in the reservoirs not filling because the jockey pump was kicking off. It wasn't telling the other pump to turn on. They robbed a part out of pump number 2. They're not saying pump number 1. The water treatment plant is showing its age.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of headaches, and it was like all in one week. It was like over and over, and it was like something different every time. And now things are running smoothly, but we're really looking forward to upgrading. Definitely feels precarious when you have that many things go on in a short period of
Yeah.
time. Like, this thing,
It's good that we have projects underway for repairing that.
it's gonna snag more months.
Questions, comments? Okay, moving on to the library report. Pretty self-explanatory. Sounds like the summer reading was good. More people than we did.
We have more people registered this year. Two of our events did overlap with two of Brownsville's big events, so there was a few like pulls between attendance, but it was good this year. There was a lot of new kids and a lot of excitement. Everyone enjoyed the presenters. And we had a couple more signups, actually, a few people that showed up for the last week, so I think it ended up being like 32 kids, I think, that were officially registered for that, like through the summer reading process from like this first week to the last week.
Awesome.
I was bummed to miss it this year. Between my schedule and the grandkids' schedule, it never. Fine, whatever, next year.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. But then the next is my report. Basically, I'm gonna focus on the Oregon Mayor Association conference I just got back from. On these conferences, I tend to be pretty strict on the reasons if I'm gonna go or not. I use my 3-article rule I use for magazines. It has to have 3 good articles before I'll buy a magazine. I'll do the same thing with the conferences, but this year there were 5. So it was a really good opportunity. A little bit less participation from some of the mayors around the state. I think most of that's probably due to fires. But we had sessions on leading with purpose, civility, and working together in the community, getting more community involvement, engagement. We discussed the 2026 legislature on the 27th session. I'm on the Government Affairs Committee for LOC, and so we had a lot of talk about what we're going to focus on, what hit some wins, some losses in this last short session. So we're going to be discussing some of that a little bit later in the meeting. That was returning stability to governance, and what that is making sure that we don't have such heated arguments. Fortunately, in our organization, we don't. We tend to get along pretty well. I'm thankful for that. And then the biggest one I found to be the most interesting was how the state and federal courts have impacted Oregon cities in the past year. And if you've watched the news, read the paper, it's been a lot of stuff that's come down in the courts, positive and negatives, about probably the biggest negatives were a lot of unfunded mandates coming down, and the court saying, no, you can't do that. There were 2 cases where they kind of dropped the ball and didn't address them. There's some court cases coming up that probably won't be doing anything for the next at least year, possibly 2. That's going to have some positive impact on Oregon cities. And LOC will be sending out some information on that, hopefully the next month or 2. And then part of my reason for going to this was remote XMAC. And it was nice to print off some 1-pagers, and I got a lot of those distributed. Lots of positive responses. A lot of responses from communities in Eastern Oregon, Central Oregon, and the coastal communities. And I was surprised when one of the LOC lobbyists that was there spoke very highly of what SMAC's been doing. So I think we're seeing some positive return on our investment of time and money. There was one of the governor's, can't think of the term, basically regional advisors was there and spoke very highly and said that the governor is quite impressed with SMAC. So if the governor's hearing about it, we're making good headway. So
That's awesome to hear since it's like new and
right.
just We're
Right.
just pushing it again.
I think part of what it is, we had our first win at our first outing. That gets their attention, so. That's that. That's what I have for that. Any questions, comments?
That be it?
That's it. So we have old business. Yeah, it's. Didn't share it for that?
We did, but he's here now.
Yeah, okay. You want anything to add to your presentation that Dan did?
Not really, unless somebody has questions about stuff going on outside of Halsey. We've had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
On social media.
Yeah.
We had two deputies, that were at the scene of an off-road ball shooting recently up next week.
Yeah.
We had a drowning recently. We've had quite a few, rescues and stuff going on up in the mountains. Where hikers have passed away. Actually, somebody, we had a recent rescue up there where, that person is actually still up there because the terrain's so rough, they can't do recovery. So it doesn't like affect Halsey, but it does in a way because we send so many resources so far away to some of these big calls. I think Jenna, does a great job of staying in touch. And you could always reach out to me, but if you see some of this stuff on Facebook, that officer ball shooting in Sweetum, people were saying crazy stuff. There's an active shooter, there were bodies everywhere. You know, like crazy stuff. I think she and I are quick to respond to stuff like that. You know, email us, reach out to anybody at the city. They can reach out to us. Doesn't have to be related to Halsey. If you're curious about something, we don't have to wait 30 days for a meeting like this.
Right.
You know, we could try to get answers for you guys, but I feel like summer has gone smooth. But the last couple of weeks, it's like trying to leave its mark.
Yeah.
And a lot of bigger calls starting to pop up. It's taken a large amount of resources that attracts the public's attention, and then they start making up a whole bunch of stories. So, nothing really for Halsey. But yeah, reach out if you have questions. Again, it doesn't have to be about Halsey.
Well, I know you and I talked when the 99 project was wrapping up, had concerns about speeding and stuff like that. Seeing that to be an issue?
To be an issue, no.
Yeah.
But there's always gonna be speed.
Right.
You're always gonna have a car that like zips through somewhere like we just heard a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right. So I pay attention to that stuff.
That's what reminded me.
Yeah, so you're always gonna have a car that speeds. I came from a council meeting an hour ago and their complaint was on speeding. But the reader board doesn't show that. We have some other data we can access. It doesn't show speeding's a concern to where like Jenna should focus 12 hours of a 12-hour shift trying to curb.
Right.
You're always gonna have that car that trips through that upsets someone, but it's not a chronic issue that we're seeing that needs addressed regularly. But we're always keeping our eye out with radar running from the one car that does it.
I'm glad to hear that. I know we had concern initially, so.
I just saw the
No, you
the speed sign down at the end of town.
Right,
I just saw it there.
Yeah, I saw that today.
right.
Yeah.
No, I think you had a question. Jen.
Yeah,
I could.
yeah.
So the car that we just heard earlier, is that, I mean, when I hear that, I don't really assume speed, is that just like, whoever is too loud or?
Could be both. He was definitely speeding. There's a
You can.
modification called exhibition of speed. It's like speed racing. So let's say you don't speed, but you go 0 to 35 miles an hour as fast as you can. That's exhibition speed. There's no reason for it.
They're just like gunning.
Yeah, you got it, but then you reach the speed limit and then you let off. That's still a violation. You can't go 0 to speed fast. Yeah, you can't use the car to like show off or exhibit, you know, the capabilities.
muscles.
So let's say he wasn't going fast, speed wise. The fact that he went from the stop sign to here, and I can tell by like the RPMs and stuff, there's no reason. So he would get talked to and say like, okay, I can't believe that you're speeding, but the fact that you did that is unacceptable.
Thank you.
You just made a show up.
Yes.
In layman's terms, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brianna, while I'm thinking about it, we're talking about traffic, and for you guys, since you're here too, the hay trucks right now are flying by the park again down O.
Oh, yeah.
And I was at the park today with the kids and watched 3 of them run the stop sign.
Run the stop sign?
Yep, on 99, they like,
299?
from O, like going to 99, like up towards Harrisburg, just kind of went.
Like
It was
turning,
like a real California stop there. But they've been coming real quick up and down, like turning onto O. And yeah, it's been really bad since like Harvard just picked up really hard right now.
I was
But yeah,
there last
today they're not.
20 years. It's always been itching.
Brianna has a pretty good relationship with some of the companies down there, so she talks to them often. Yeah, yeah, there's only so many options.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be straw contracts, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see.
they've been getting a little frisky on O.
Anybody else? Thank you. So now we're gonna move on to old business. The proposed street vacation of West A and West B Street. We received an update on the status of the street vacation and prepare for executive session. If you would.
Yeah, it's really a timeline. This application has been a bit of a beat because there's some weird stuff going on over there. We can talk about. There is the A Street, which has an overlying ownership by one party with a surrounding ownership of another party. And then there's also the underlying predated ownership of the city has a plat. The plat predates everything. And so when we receive information, we do our due diligence, we work with engineers and consultants, and we take applications. But there has been some issues about whether or not that A Street piece in particular is under question. And so we just want to make sure that we're doing our absolute due diligence on that matter. We need to make sure that the initial application is valid. And we need to really hold and discuss with our legal counsel before we proceed. And so that is why we've really done the executive session, is to make sure that we're talking those issues through. We have that opportunity to have, counsel with our legal, and that we're making all the correct steps, because that has always been the city's intent is that we don't want to have a misstep. We want correct information so you guys can make informed decisions.
So are we getting good information from the county?
There was a lot of research that went into this even before the initial application, and Audrey spent a lot of time on it. So that area period, it has that weird 6-foot section
Right.
between B and the south property owners. That is very unusual. That does not happen. So that 6-foot section is part of the church plot, but it is doesn't make sense.
Right.
So we had to do a ton of research on that. And then again, we're getting deed history through the engineers. We have contacted the county, and the county has, I've just been the existence of the road and whether or not the permit and what information they have on it, what information, how they interpret the deed record and all of those things. That we use the county as the agency of record in situations. We don't try to make it up. They are the agency who determines how land is distributed. Also, when we do vacations, you must report them with the county or they don't exist.
Right.
And so the county is the one that gets to determine how roads are distributed. We don't have the authority to do that. We have the authority to vacate or not to vacate, period. And so again, if you have an application, it's very common for a street vacation, 99.9% of the time to be a center line split. And so when you have an applicant who abuts a property, we took an application of that regard. We just want to make sure that we're doing everything right. That is really what it is. We want to make sure that the application is valid. We want to make sure that we're making the right decisions with all of the information. Because
Yeah.
the city doesn't actually benefit from anything else with that. Like, we don't benefit from this at all, frankly.
Right.
So the council has agreed that they would like to move to an executive session on that. We have scheduled an executive session. That date is actually set for August 26th. You know, it's unfortunate that this has taken some time, but that is the time. Let me double check. Let me triple check that. But once we sort of confer on that, we'll be able to come back for A Street in particular, but also any action on B Street. We currently do not have an active application on B Street. I also want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Because it was voted on and we voted down. If another application comes forward, I think that we are informed by this process with any new developments, you know, and so certainly council has the opportunity to hear that matter again based off of any new information that's come forward. And there may be, you know, that's important for making a decision. If there's new information, there's new information. At the time, we had an applicant that said, I don't have any plans. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Do we have any new information?
We did hear from Halsey Pym in email. She did mention that she wanted to speak and she may have some information, which we would love to have regarding potential previous vacation, which again, the county does not have record of. And
Actually, my county surveyor's website,
about previous vacation,
yeah, written right on there. It says
Why is-
dated 8/1/78.
So my question is, why is the county providing that for us?
yeah, I mean,
So that's a very good question. It answers we always, you look at, I should have brought multiple copies. So that you look at the,
and you said you found that on the assessment website?
yeah,
The surveyors.
I did. I thought I printed it, but I didn't. So it's always been, I don't know if you guys can see, but so like this is our field, our property line. And we've always owned this little L-shaped thing here, which was Street A. And we've never really understood where that came from, didn't really care. But that's because it was previously vacated. And if you look at previous aerial maps, which you only have from 60, like sometime in the 60s, I think it's like 67, and then you again have it in the 80s. Like there's nothing here, like the church doesn't exist. And then when you again have aerial maps in the 80s, the church got built. And so and also so did these little houses over here. So my assumption is, and so the attorney that pointed out to me, hey, because we were a little lost, and so we had a land use attorney in Eugene look at this for us, and he wrote back to me and said, I don't know why A Street is an issue. It was vacated in 1978. It should be a non-issue. And I was like, okay. Which makes sense why that is, you know, especially when you log into GIS, why that's already adjacent to our property and in our legal description of our deed. Yeah, so this is just, if you go into GIS, so, can I borrow your pen? Yeah, so this, I'm writing it upside down, but this is also.
Right.
And so this at one time, I think if you can't really tell anymore, simply because this is all, you know, on the other side of this was a field. But if you look at really, really, really old map,
Right.
like at one time, this used to be A Street. And it was vacated.
Okay.
And then, and I think what happened is that our family bought this property from Mrs. Bath in the early 1980s. And I think what happened is when this got vacated, it went to her, because if you look at, get the aerial map.
You want me to make some copies so everybody can look at this?
If we could, yes.
Right, fine. Again, I need to,
I emailed my attorney today again, and I got an automatic reply that he's on vacation for 4 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. The biggest thing I want to make sure everyone understands that the more information we have, the more accurate of a decision we can make.
Right.
That's why it
I
feels
want it
like we're dragging our feet, but it's out of abundance of
Yeah.
caution.
So this is, this here, if you look in the late 60s, none of this exists. This is just a
Right.
big field. She owns it. And then boom, like when you have another area mob, it's here. So I'm assuming that in 78, when this got vacated, I don't know. We need to find the records. And I was wondering, don't you guys have city council minutes?
Yes, and so we're gonna, when you gave us that information of 1978, that is helpful. That gives us like.
Like you could look at like 6 months prior or something. That's what I was thinking when he told me that later. I'm like, maybe there's some discussion somewhere. I will just tell you, I did a couple of years ago, a couple of Century Farm applications. And so I spent quite a bit of time in the county office. And I don't know if you've ever done one of those, but it's really extensive and you have to show the lineage and like all this stuff. And the county is great and the people that are great, but as I'm going through these files, I'm finding things that are misplaced and misfiled. Like, why is this? No, this should be like over here. And like, just whoever was in there or whoever was scanning the microfilm, just like, it's very difficult to say. And my suspicion is like, and how this even got built onto that. Like, let's just say this is a street, an existing street. Well, how did they build that onto a street? Like, I mean, there's something got dropped somewhere.
Oh, exactly. That's why we want to think we have all the
Right.
information.
So the reason that the B Street thing came up is because, as I've explained to previous people in the past, is when I, a few years ago, went to go change insurance companies, one of the things that came up as a flag for the insurance company was that there was this church that had a playground and they're building on our property.
Right.
And they're like, well, that's a liability. You need to get that fixed. And so we kind of talked to the church and, okay, going around and the church's attorney didn't dispute that with us. And we hired a survey to do a lot line adjustment, which is why they said B Street needed to be vacated so we could do the lot line adjustment.
Okay.
But I don't really understand like why this, and again, the attorney was like, I don't even know why this is an issue. It was already vacated.
Sure.
And it does, yeah.
If we get as much information from you as you can.
Yeah, and and I didn't mean to be offensive earlier, but like, it is harvest. I don't have time to do any of that research right now. When my kids get back in school next month, I will, go down to the courthouse for a day or two and figure, do what I can do.
Sure.
But I just don't, have time to wallow.
Well, I think that if you get us what you have right now, then we could,
Yeah, I would be very interested where you found the thing that said previously vacated.
Yeah, if you go to the county, so,
Because we
I
have been.
don't remember the name of the website, but if you just go to the county surveyor's website, and where you can pull up all the survey.
Sure.
I believe it's been a few days, but I believe when you pull up the main map, it says it's in little meeting, it says a vacated, and then it has the date, and then it has, what I'm assuming is the name of the surveyor, it's like OC something or other.
right. Okay, well, whatever information you have, if you get to it,
Yeah.
that'd be great. That'll give something to look forward to.
Declaration, already have an executive session scheduled. We don't want council them to be able to ask any questions, but if it's found that we get enough information ahead of that negates the need for executive session.
Because the county has like, obviously, I mean, I don't know how, I'm gonna go ask how that gets in there, but like, we've been paying taxes on this for the last 40 years.
That was nice of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we own it. It
Yeah.
says that on the thing, so yeah.
Well, there's gonna be a resolution. It's just a matter of getting from point A to point B and making sure that everything is in alignment. And if somewhere the ball's been dropped by the county for whatever reason, we need to know about it so we can get it fixed.
Right.
I will also reach out to you I think this is really good information. It's very informative for H Street. The topic of H Street is still a matter for discussion. I will email you because again, it's not something we're voting on tonight. And I just want to explain like now there's not an active application. It was already voted no.
Yes, and we discussed that together, and the reason I haven't filled out a new one is because we would like to vacate more than just East Street. Simply because the issue is, and as I was explaining to Michelle, a couple of months ago, is that when you pull up, and as most people, who are just, not, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people, they will pull up their Onyx or whatever, and they look, and it looks like there are public right of way all throughout our fields.
Right.
And the issue with that is that our equipment often gets damaged because there is, pens and jeans and things like, other things that are combined and just, and then cost multi-thousands of dollars of repair. Also, frequently in the when the ground is wet and monkey, we have people, doing cookies with their ATVs and other things out there, especially at where there's the alleyway ends there. I can't remember the street, but I think it's like C or.
We're at C.
Yeah, I think and then over there south of, so it's CGH, and it's frequently, they're always just like,
I can't tell you how many people we stop.
yeah, doing that, and we have absolutely no intention of ever developing this. There's, it's just not gonna happen, but you can. You just can't. And so there's just no reason for that. So the reason I hadn't refilled that out is because we were gonna put another, join that with. And again, I haven't had time to. And I didn't think of that. That'd be great.
There's also, I want to give you the information about the options for how we proceed with that, because there's a couple of them, but I will email.
That's fine. Okay.
So maybe thank you. Again, this is.
The big thing I want to make sure that we all understand that it behooves us to be able to work together probably. And if we start butting heads, that we're gonna get nowhere. So we just gotta work together and show information we have as much as we can. So. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Brianna?
No.
Old business?
Thank you for coming. That was helpful information.
Very
Thank you.
helpful.
Genuinely just want the info so that we can get this over with. That's it for me on that.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or? No?
Just because I know a few of the counselors might not be able to be there. Can you send out like a text just to remind everyone when questions are due to you, like at the end of the week?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else, we'll move on to new business. First is LOC legislative priorities. You guys have a good chance to look at those. Any questions, comments? I'll take any questions, comments you have on it, because I sit on that committee, so information I can get back to them, even better. So there's, if you get of that list, choose 4, 6, hopefully you have already. If you haven't, please let me know.
Well, can do.
Do you guys want to go chase down speeders?
No, we need you for just a little bit longer. Yeah. Thank you for being here, though.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
If you have any questions about them, please let me know. Come up with this list.
I'm gonna be curious if anything stands out to people at a glance.
Right.
We need to come up with a few. We have this month and next month, and so
Right.
we have time. It would be nice if anybody has anything that stood out to them as like, this one's not,
Right.
have some service.
But if you wanna think about emailing me, texting. I'll be out there.
One that stands out to me, that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, one that stands out to me, may I chime in?
Yeah,
One that stands out to me is targeted prevailing wage changes.
yes,
You talked a lot about how prevailing wage costs impacts the cost of projects and the threshold for what pushes something into a prevailing wage project. Or a public, public goods project, I know it, anyways. The threshold was set at 50,000 in
Right.
2005.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been updated in a long time, so once you hit a public project or a public works project, once you hit 50,000 and above, and that means that you have to do all the fully prevailing wage. So
Right.
that means that like the guy that's pushing the room being paid $46 an hour, like everything. It just, and I'm not saying that I don't want to see our tradespeople and our blue collar people making good money, but I think that it makes, I think that it is perhaps not the most efficient,
right,
effective, and responsible use of public funds. They're just saying frequently, I mean, even our grants are often taxpayer dollars. Our money is taxpayer dollars, or it's user fees. It is public money. And so that prevailing wage threshold, we see a need for it to be raised so that that project limit doesn't get hit until higher. They are proposing 86,000. The other reason why this one falls on my radar is because our staff efforts are coming up with some policy priorities, and one of our on their action, we also support this. I will say, however, that we think that 86,000 is dismal. It doesn't actually align with what it would be if it would have kept
Right.
its number down. And so our policy priority is actually quite a bit higher, above 200,000.
Sure.
Because a $50,000 project is like nothing. And it
I have a ceiling at all.
might have a ceiling at all.
Anyway,
I think that to object to and to undo the existence of prevailing wage is another discussion.
yeah.
That's
a whole- Hold on, yes,
For pushing the project to that requirement is too low. I would agree. And when I say it truly doubles the cost of a project, it truly doubles the cost of a project. I have an example in my back pocket from Brownsville where they had a bathroom project that they had gone in and the bids were going to be, it was estimated to be, $49,000. And so they were advised that they should just go ahead with the procurement that would assume a bid higher than that. Because one change order, just one whatever would have pushed them that threshold, and you get in trouble for not following the correct procurement practice and not doing the fully prevailing wage. And so when they went to bid, they put in the requirements for prevailing wage, and it was $96,000 for one per bathroom. That is the kind of impact that this creates, is that kind of impact to how much money it costs to complete a project. And that's also when you see things where like people say, I don't understand why the school can't fix this or the city can't fix this, or why would the project cost that much? We are subject to much more scrutiny in our design, in our expectations, the things we have to put into projects, but reporting requirements, all those things. And we are subject to this public procurement rule. That means that immediately the project costs like almost doubles. It's on average about 40%.
Yeah. It's huge. And it's pretty, I mean, small communities predominantly are being hammered or, and having projects when they can't complete their water systems or anything like that because of that. There's two others that are really important to the governing committee. One is the Administrative Procedures Act reform. And what that is, it's the rules that state agencies must follow. And over the years, it has gotten murkier and murkier and murkier, where it was originally designed for transparency, and it is anything but. And what that would do is force the state to kind of, I don't say rein in agencies, But as with the state legislature, there's oversight when they create laws. But once it gets down to an agency who creates the administrative rules, there is almost zero oversight. And we run into that as a small committee when they're trying to do wells and water systems. To where you talk to one person in the agency and they say one thing, and another person you talk to says something completely different and gets a bottleneck. So that's trying to get that clear, updated from 1971 to today, you know. Then the next one is public meeting law clarity, and that's predominantly towards the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. And there's never really been an intentions requirement, but they have to prove an intent. It just, we think you are, that's it. But there's more than that too. The hot dog rule. Remember you guys talking about that where if we have a meeting, planning meeting, we can't provide food because it's considered a payment in kind. That got a lot of pushback and OGAC rescinded that. So that's where they're starting to realize, oh, maybe we are overstepping. So those are the two real big ones that we were talking about. So if you have any others that are concerned, shoot me a text, let me know. And if there's anything that kind of boggles your mind right now on those.
The land availability one was kind of interesting for me,
Yeah.
since the land availability and the
Yeah.
streamlining.
Right.
And also to an extent, the water workforce development, since we've talked about that with the guys.
Sure.
And all the training programs, especially like, because it's going to affect us when Andy retires and we start having to.
He's not.
I'm not sure he's allowed to ever.
At some point, I think his wife.
Well, I'm sure that's, but anyway, we can move on from that. So if you have anything you want, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to make some starters on this.
Sure.
So that when we come back next month, that we're ready, now maybe put something together that goes really well.
Right.
Like fine tune.
Right.
Good. Well, we already have some ideas.
Yeah.
So I heard availability. I had mine, what was about the goal is to be on the wage. And then you said the administrative time.
The administrative,
The general government committee, the public meetings.
the Administrative
Yes.
Procedures Act reform
Yeah,
Administrative procedure.
and
right,
public,
meeting.
that was mine.
And then the water workforce development.
yeah.
Okay,
So if there's more, let me know. You can chat about them and then.
As I was going through it, as I was taking notes, as I was like thinking things, I'll send them to you. Do you want to be CC'd on an email? Like, do you guys both want the like thoughts or questions on any of these specifically?
one of the things that we have to be careful about is sending these to multiple council members, so if
Yeah.
you send it
So
to
just-
mayor,
Well, no, that's what I was saying, like just the two of you.
then that would be,
Okay, that's what I was saying. Do you want it to, or do you just want us to send it to mayor?
that's fine, and then we'll bring them back, we have to bring them back at the next public meeting,
Right.
we'll, any notes, we'll make sure to bring forward.
If you want to send it to me, I can get with Brown, create a spreadsheet of ranking.
And
That's something
you,
you do?
and you can't discuss it,
Right.
Yes.
but it's like, yeah, so. I don't like communication, send that, we'll get okay.
I'll send you.
You can ask questions about LOCs and TAN. Beliefs. That's, you can't have ongoing conversation. Other than you clarify. So if you have nothing else, we can move on.
We have to figure out some dates, that's the last topic.
Yeah, for October.
Well, I'll play you.
Yeah.
October. I go hunting
Yeah,
on the record, so that season is what it is.
right.
And so we have some date. I did get a hold of LOC about some training opportunities. They're on pause for training, so it's actually
Right.
probably not a good option for us right now. It sounded like a good idea to me, but it's not gonna work out. They do actually have their rentals trainings coming up again.
Oh, really?
So those dates are available, that's,
I have.
September. So those are all good opportunities. You're in the middle of the week. I asked them about that. I know we're in the weeds. I said, have you considered Saturdays? Most people work that are on city councils, and they have a lot of reasons why that was not feasible for them. So I am also looking into the do on the go training.
Yeah.
When people are able to attend the trainings that they offer, they are free. So that's always nice. It's just driving there, but there are options to bring people in. It does have a fee associated, but it's not astronomical. So really good training opportunities. And something that I do encourage to look into is holding, every other year when we don't do our goal setting, holding a work session that just dedicated to training.
There is,
Not a work session, but I'm just saying, we hold a training in one time a year when we don't have goal setting.
and this is a little bit further out, but the 25th of February, there's a catch-all virtual online, so.
Oh, so that's a little.
Meaning like all of them?
They kind of
February.
catch up all the things.
I don't even know what I'm doing in September.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I know.
So their Lexi Essentials workshop, they're gonna be setting some online trainings for those.
Okay.
So keep an eye out on the LSU website for the training section. But the OGEC one, they paused on that because it was found that trainings that was trying to get approved through OGEC, they were not getting approved. And then did a test where they took another agency to end their training, so that was approved by OGEC, changed the name, and still got rejected. So that's why they paused. That's why they paused.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, so scheduling.
That's one.
Got way off topic, I apologize, I started it. So the October meeting, we have some options, we could recess for October. If we don't have any pressing business, we can set it for the third Tuesday, which is kind of the placeholder that we always hold for council meetings, which is the 20th.
Mhm.
I would suggest we just hold that placeholder, and if there's no pressing business, council can sort of decide what in the September meeting, if they want to proceed with that date. The September meeting, the reason why I'm recommending that we move to the third Tuesday instead of the 8th is because of that timeline that I was talking about way,
Right,
long ago about that INI.
right.
DEQ has stated they need 2 weeks to review the timeline to post our intent to award is August 31st.
Right.
That is in alignment with all the other previous things, which is like how long it needs to be open, our time to apply to open bids, when the bids close,
Sure.
we review them, all those things. So that gives us 7 days, really.
Right.
Between our intent to award, and again, during that 1 week, you have to approve it before we can actually award it in our council meeting. So they've told me that they prefer 2 weeks. So if they don't have it approved by then, we would have to wait all the way until we would have to hold a special session.
Right.
Actually. We would not wait until October.
Yeah.
We would have to hold a special session because we have to award once it's approved, we have a timeline to award.
Right.
So, that would be September. I have to look.
15th.
15.
Yeah, and I know that that's, it feels like not great timing because October was already being rescheduled. But
Something like that makes sense, though.
we could either keep our regular meeting and have a placeholder for a special session just to deal with the topic of the award, or we would
Right.
do the whole meeting and deal with it at that time. So those are the options for council.
Move the meeting.
I do.
I moved the meeting.
Yeah. It's easier for me anyway. The 8th is the first day of school, so I prefer not to have a meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's right after Labor Day and barbecue, so I would.
Right.
So September, we have consensus.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. October.
Then meetings with October, like you said, I would favor if we have to, the 20th, otherwise nothing.
Right.
Okay, so tentatively hold the 20th, and if there's no business.
Yeah.
Before
Right.
October.
Yeah.
And
There's
we-
potential I'll be out of town from the 17th to the 24th too, so.
Did you also draw your time?
No, next year I've,
October tentative 20th, potential to cancel if not needed.
And as to training, is there any training you guys want?
Yes, thank you.
I always think that, like public meeting
Mhm.
rules and all that kind of stuff's good,
Basic
but
fundamentals,
We're-
things like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we could find somebody or
Well, shoot me a text when she doesn't want.
going back and forth over the
Yeah.
years about the whole Roberts rules or whatever,
Yeah.
not that we fully follow them,
Yeah.
but some, I don't know.
Give me a text. Let me respond. And we'll put together.
Yeah, and I will send you guys, they sent me some information from LT on that trainings on the go. And so we have the full elected essentials, but you can actually
Right.
cherry pick the topics, so you don't have to spend 8 hours.
Right.
So you can say, I only want to do 2 hours of training, right? And so in that situation, I can send that to you because they actually give kind of like a little summary of the different topics, and they actually also provide how long they are.
Right.
So this one's 90 minutes, this one's,
I'd like to spend 5.5 hours, please.
and the topics are public meeting law. There's also a lot of things that are like what to know about land use as an elected official. It's a cool topic, so I'll send that out to folks so that they can have some ideas, because then in the spring, when they are allowing training again,
Right.
you can revisit the topic. I
Yeah.
think that would be a really cool opportunity.
Okay. Anybody else?
What is it?
Questions, comments?
8:15?
So there's no resolution of ordinances, so then we will adjourn at 8:16.
There we go. Look at the picture, you can see my husband's flag.